In the sun-scorched arenas of Olympia and the haunted hills of Thrace, a chilling feud unfolded, one that tied the mighty Heracles to the wrathful god Ares in ways no mortal could foresee. Was it pride, prophecy, or something far darker that bound these two titans in a struggle beneath the indifferent stars? What secrets did the temples of Ares desperately try to hide? And could Heracles truly escape a destiny woven by the hands of vengeful gods? Before we dive deep into this gripping myth, make sure to subscribe to our channel, Best of History and Mythology. Hit the like button and ring the bell so you won't miss any of our journeys into the shadows of history and mythology. Under the scorching midsummer sun, crowds thronged the grand stadium of Olympia, eager to witness feats of strength that honored Zeus himself. Merchants peddled laurel wreaths and olive oil, while poets recited verses of heroic triumphs. Yet beneath this festive surface, whispers spread of chilling Olympic mysteries that had begun to plague the sacred grounds. Just before the foot races commenced, a sudden unnatural wind swept through the valley. It carried a scent of iron and damp earth, unsettling even the stoic Spartan athletes. As the spectators watched, a sinister red mist slithered across the track, thick and slow, almost alive. Old priests exchanged fearful glances. Some clutched their ceremonial knives as if to ward off an unseen presence. They muttered about omens in mythology, the sort that never boded well for gods or mortals. At the altar of Zeus, the high priest prepared the ritual sacrifice, a pristine white bull meant to ensure divine favor. But when the animal was struck, it let out an otherworldly bellow, its echo unnaturally deep, vibrating through the marble columns. Instead of flowing bright, the blood pooled black and sluggish, refusing to soak into the earth. The crowd recoiled in horror. Greek prophecies often spoke of corrupted sacrifices as signs that something dreadful loomed on the horizon. Far off near the training grounds, Heracles, already a towering legend, famed for his 12 labors, stood polishing his lion-skin cloak, laughing off the panic of the crowd. His companions urged caution, yet he dismissed their warnings with a confident wave. Unknown to them all, however, faint tremors began to ripple through the stadium floor, as if the very bones of the earth were shivering at some ancient threat. By nightfall, Olympia was cloaked in uneasy silence. Torches along the colonnades flickered and sputtered out without reason, plunging statues of the gods into eerie shadow. A chorus of frogs near the Alpheus River fell abruptly mute, leaving an oppressive stillness that weighed on every heart. Travelers spoke of ghostly figures drifting between the olive trees, too tall, with eyes that glowed faintly red. No one could say what power moved through Olympia that summer. But the dark legends of Olympia took root quickly, and by dawn, many pilgrims were already fleeing the sacred site, desperate to escape an unspoken dread that clung to the air like a curse yet unnamed. In the rugged hills of Thrace, far from the ordered splendor of Olympia, Heracles marched with purpose toward a realm notorious for mythical beasts of Greece. His new task was to seize the savage war horses of Diomedes, creatures whispered about in fearful taverns as unnatural, their eyes glinting with a cruel intelligence. The Thracian landscape itself seemed hostile. Black crows gathered on ancient stones, watching silently as if awaiting some grim spectacle. The few shepherds Heracles encountered refused even to utter Diomedes' name, crossing themselves and muttering charms against dark spirits. They spoke only in fragments of mysteries of Thrace, hinting at curses older than the temples of Athens. At last, Heracles reached the sprawling stables of Diomedes. The The structure was less a stable and more a fortress, its wooden gates stained with dark streaks, whether old blood or some fouler substance he couldn't tell. Inside, the air was suffocating, heavy with rot and iron. The mares paced restlessly, snorting and grinding their yellowed teeth. Their breath steamed in the cold shadows, though the day outside blazed with heat. When Heracles stepped into the pen, a strange force seemed to pulse through the ground, an almost electric sting climbing his legs. The horses froze, then turned their heads in eerie unison. Their nostrils flared, and they charged with shocking speed. It took all of Heracles' titanic strength to wrestle them down one by one, using chains forged from tempered bronze. As he battled, he noticed deep symbols carved into the stable pillars, spirals and jagged runes slick with fresh crimson. Some crude blood rituals had been performed here recently, though by whose hand he could not say. Once bound, the war horses thrashed and shrieked, a sound far too close to human wailing. The hero could not shake the feeling that their madness was no accident. Something or someone had poisoned their spirits. As Heracles dragged them from the yard, a biting wind whipped through the valley, carrying with it a low whisper that almost formed words. He paused, straining to hear, but it slipped away like a dream half-remembered. Heracles set his jaw and continued his task, unaware that high upon a rocky outcrop, a lone figure cloaked in scarlet observed every move, silent and still as a statue. Its presence was not felt, yet the air around it shimmered faintly with a heat that did not belong to any sun. Tell me, would you dare enter a haunted forest if you knew ancient curses might be watching your every step? Let me know in the comments below. In the months that followed Heracles' triumph in Thrace, unease rippled across the Greek world. Along the dusty roads that connected distant city-states, merchants spoke in hushed voices of desecrations that left entire villages trembling. At first, these tales seemed little more than drunken gossip, until they spread to the marble sanctuaries themselves. Across the rugged Peloponnese, priests arrived at dawn to discover the temples of Ares violated in chilling ways. Sacred shields were found split down the middle, spears blackened as if burned by cold fire, and blood-red symbols appeared etched onto the stone altars, symbols no scholar could translate. A scent of sulfur lingered wherever these marks surfaced, adding to fears of forgotten Greek curses being stirred from their grave. Meanwhile, remote villagers swore they'd seen armored figures wandering olive groves under moonlight, silent phantoms whose helms hid shadowy faces. Livestock were found torn apart without a trace of predators. Each grim discovery fueled speculation that an unseen hand was orchestrating a campaign of terror, one steeped in dark Greek folklore that few dared recount aloud. Within dim candlelit halls, oracles muttered cryptic warnings about an unpaid debt of old blood. Yet when pressed, their eyes grew distant, as if listening to voices from another realm. Even itinerant storytellers, eager for coin, avoided certain taverns for fear their verses might accidentally summon the very wrath they sang about. Heracles, during this strange season, received a flood of unsolicited warnings. A bent old seer confronted him at the gates of Corinth, clutching a crude wooden icon daubed with streaks of ochre. With cracked lips, she whispered of a mythic revenge older than the hills, hinting at battles not yet fought and a foe who would not be bound by mortal laws. Heracles scoffed, yet that night his sleep was restless, haunted by fragments of dreams filled with clashing steel and rivers running red. Elsewhere, an unsettling rumor gained traction. That Heracles himself had unknowingly triggered a slumbering vendetta, rooted in ancient rivalries between powers no mortal could hope to placate. But who truly guided this dark tide, man, beast, or god, remained cloaked in maddening mystery. If you love stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to Best of History and Mythology, drop a like, and hit the bell so you never miss our next journey into the shadows of the past. Night had settled over the Arcadian plains in a heavy velvet shroud when Heracles found himself alone beneath a sky glittering with cold, indifferent stars. The air was unusually still, carrying no song of crickets or hoot of owl. Even the ancient oaks stood motionless, their gnarled limbs stiff as if bracing for some unspoken calamity. Suddenly, the heavens themselves seemed to shudder. A streak of light tore across the sky, then another, until dozens of burning scars marred the night. From this violent canvas descended a figure clad in resplendent armor that glowed with a sinister inner fire, his crested helm marked unmistakably with the sigil of the god of war. This was no mortal champion, but Ares himself, embodiment of bloodlust and relentless conflict. Heracles stood rooted as the war god's feet touched earth, igniting a circle of scorched grass. Ares leveled his spear with casual malice, voice echoing with a depth no human throat could match. He accused Heracles of arrogance, of trespassing upon glories reserved for the divine. The hero's muscles tightened, not with fear, but with a readiness drawn from countless trials. Yet something in Ares' eyes, a feral glint, hinted this was no ordinary challenge, but a reckoning steeped in ancient war myths that far exceeded mortal grudges. Without ceremony, Ares lunged. The impact of spear upon club sent out a concussive shockwave, flattening shrubs and splitting stones. Sparks erupted where metal clashed, casting fleeting halos of orange light that danced madly across their fierce silhouettes. To any distant shepherd who might have glimpsed the scene, it would have seemed a celestial duel, two colossal shadows battling at the edge of the world. Each strike from Ares fell with supernatural force, forging craters beneath Heracles' feet. Yet the son of Zeus met every blow, the lion skin upon his shoulder shimmering as if alive. The ground beneath them fractured into jagged canyons, swallowing bushes and tearing fissures through old hunting paths. Stars wheeled overhead, bright and uncaring witnesses to this Greek god battle unfolding far below. As they fought, phantom figures appeared on the periphery, warriors of old clad in rusted mail, specters drawn by the irresistible lure of violence. Their hollow eyes watched silently, as though taking measure of who would emerge victorious to claim dominion over future wars. But even as Heracles forced Ares back with a crushing blow of his club, a question gnawed at the edge of his mind. Why had Ares waited so long to confront him? Why now, on this particular stretch of desolate land, under a sky so charged with violent portents? In that fleeting hesitation, Heracles caught a trace of something, almost like hesitation, flashing across Ares' war-hardened features. Whatever secret lay coiled within this conflict, it remained veiled, a dark promise of revelations yet to come. And so their savage struggle raged on beneath the pitiless stars, each clash ringing with ominous possibility. Do you believe mortals can ever truly escape the destinies woven by the gods? Or are we all bound by threads we'll never see? Let me know what you think in the comments. Ares staggered back, his spear tip skidding across shattered earth, eyes blazing with something deeper than mere rage. Heracles braced for another assault, chest heaving, every nerve taut. But instead of attacking, Ares lowered his weapon, the cruel edge of his grin fading into a troubled line. The war god's breath clouded the air, heavy with a power that seemed to warp the very night around them. For the first time in this violent dance, Ares spoke not as a challenger, but as a reluctant messenger of secrets of Olympus. His voice dropped to a gravelly murmur that seemed to come from all directions at once. Heracles narrowed his eyes, sensing that at last the real reason for their brutal contest was about to unravel. Ares revealed an ancient Greek prophecy, one buried so deep it had been nearly lost to time. Long before Heracles was born, the fates had woven a dark tapestry binding them together. It was decreed that Heracles, though a hero by mortal measure, would someday give rise to legacies soaked in endless war. His bloodline would spread across lands far beyond Greece, planting seeds of conquest that Ares himself would one day harvest. This feud, this violent trial beneath the indifferent stars, was never about wounded pride. It was a ritual set into motion by Zeus to ensure Ares' dominion would flourish through ages yet to come. The entire struggle had been a cosmic maneuver, one that guaranteed destinies entwined far past either champion's personal ambitions. Heracles clenched his fists, fury and confusion battling in his heart. The thought that his labors, his countless battles, might serve not only glory or redemption, but also perpetuate a divine thirst for conflict, gnawed at him like poison. He had fought monsters, toppled tyrants, and cleansed lands of horrors, only to discover he might be the unwitting architect of future empires drenched in blood. Ares' expression softened to something almost like pity, a fleeting crack in the armor of the war god. With a final cryptic warning that the hidden truths of mythology rarely served mortal hopes, he stepped backward into the shadows. In an instant, his form dissolved into motes of crimson light that spiraled upward and vanished among the stars. Left alone on the scarred plain, Heracles looked skyward. The constellations above no longer seemed merely decorative, but alive, their cold gleam hinting at forces beyond mortal comprehension. Somewhere in the black beyond, the fates continued their silent weaving, indifferent to the hopes or sufferings of gods and men. The shocking truth settled over Heracles like a funeral shroud. His greatest feats, his towering legend, were merely strands in a grander design, one destined to sustain the god of war's reign for countless generations. And with that realization, the hero felt a tremor of dread, knowing he could never truly break free of the dark legacy that Olympia, Thrace, and the whispering plains of Arcadia had conspired to forge. Thank you for watching. May the hidden truths of the past guide your next adventure. Until our next legend here on Best of History and Mythology, stay curious